Alright, in this video we're going to cover the ATF's new ruling on being a gun dealer and banning the private sale of all firearms. Alright, now on the channel I've covered, like, you see these legal people every day, they're coming out with this long drawn out thing, but a lot of the ATF's attempts in the past 2 years, call it overreach, whatever, but to change the regulations for bump stocks, pistol braces, and 80% receivers or gun projects or whatever. Supposedly, as far as I know, and that's why you kind of don't see the videos anymore, all of this stuff has been thrown out in court. Through the Supreme Court and going through the whole mumbo jumbo. All this stuff is meaningless now. Now, the one thing is, and people are warning you about this, is this private sales system or scheme. And I guess yesterday I was watching a video, you could leave a public comment of why you don't like this. And now they're going to come out, I guess, in March, and it's supposed to take effect in September, which is right prior to the election, that they're going to do this. They changed the definition. How they're going to ban the private sales of firearms is in a law. They changed the definition of what a gun dealer is. Now, you could go down to where if you sell one firearm to somebody, you can be considered a dealer. And the idea is they want you to go to a licensed dealer. When I covered the form, I forget the number. The new form has an area on there where you can go to a dealer and say, I want to sell this gun, do a background check on them and everything else. That's the whole intent. Okay? But here's the question. How do they catch you? Now, I just did a video where North Carolina has basically eliminated the statute to where when I have a private sale of a firearm, okay, of a handgun, I don't need a purchasing permit, and I really don't need to see the person's concealed carry permit, which is kind of a background, guaranteed background check. As long as they got a valid concealed carry, that means their background, state law states that their background is automatically checked, and you just got to write the number down. In the old days, you had to hold on to the papers or have a bill of sale, which is probably a good idea anyway, but it's no longer required by law. So I don't know how, and I don't know about other states, but other states have laws, loose laws like that that don't require you to do that. How the ATF is going to enforce it? Well, I guess the answer to that is like when I made the other video explaining. A lot of people believe, and I've seen it on some gun forums, a guy was worried he had an SKS rifle that he bought legally, sold it to a pawn shop, and then he said, well, if they sell this gun, is that gun and the serial number still registered in my name, and if somebody commits a crime for it, will they come looking for me? Well, the problem with this, and what people don't understand, and what nobody really is explaining, is there is no National Firearms Registry. Actually, there are laws on the books which they cannot have one. The 1968 Gun Control Act clearly states that, and another one also states in another law later on, the federal government cannot keep a registry of firearms owners. There is a database for stolen weapons. So in other words, that's why you should write the serial number down. They break into your house, they break into your car, they steal a firearm. You go to the police, tell them there was a theft, give them the serial number, and that goes into a national registry of stolen firearms, processed through a police report. That is the only national registry. So when you see these videos where the ATF and the sheriffs come into your door saying, hey, you went and bought 5 handguns last month, we want to see them, okay? And they have the police and they have 2 agents and they want to see these guns, you have to prove to them. And everyone gets into this in-depth legal thing, I guess binary triggers or some sort of triggers, same deal, okay? Well, how are they finding out? Well, if there is no national registry, but what we found out, and I've talked to several dealers, is they get audited by the ATF on a very frequent basis. I had one friend of mine that him and his father started a business, he's my age, and he said for 30 years, him and his dad run this small shop, used to go to gun shows, sold all kinds of guns, excuse me, and never once were they audited, never in 30 years. They never done anything illegal, their records were exact and precise and by all the standards of the law, never audited. Now, shops are being audited every few months. So what they are doing is, because it's against the law to record the guns, when they audit you, they go through them forms. That's what the FFL dealer must do. He must present his records, they review his records, audit, make sure that everything is filled out, background checks, everything else. So there's no reason for them not to take notes. So say you go and you're buying a high point or you're buying some low-end gun like every other week. And you could do this at any dealer, okay? You could do it at Sportsman's Warehouse, Academy Sports, or any large gun store, small gun store, whatever. They go in there every few months and they audit and they go through the papers, supposedly to make sure you're doing your job. And they start seeing your name in there. You come in, bought a high point, and then a week later you bought another one, and 2 weeks later you bought another one. And that's where they just take the notes of this. And that kind of is evident that you're buying a real expensive handgun quite frequently, that you're gun running or you're selling these things for a profit. Okay? Now, without a search warrant or proof, in reality, they really, when they come to the door, like you see them videos, and they say, all you got to do is show us the guns. See, the police are being forced to go down there and do this. They don't have a warrant. You really haven't broken the law, because there's no law that states, unless, well, some states say you can only buy a handgun once every 30 days or something. There are some state laws. I know South Carolina had that. If you bought a handgun back in the old days, you just bought it like a regular gun, but the state law said you couldn't buy more than one a month. So you can buy 12 handguns a year. Okay. Some states have laws like that. This state does not. If I want to go into a shop and buy 5 different pistols, I can buy, if I got the money, I can buy 5 different handguns or shotguns or AR-15s or whatever. I've seen people walk in during the panic and buy every AR-15 the guy had in stock. He goes, I got 5 of them. They're this amount of money. He goes, okay, I'll buy them. And there's no law against it. Okay? There isn't. You're not doing anything illegal. Now, if you take the guns, and see, this is the other thing. Say you take the guns and you wish to sell them. Okay? In actuality, there's nothing illegal being done, as long as you're not like selling it to terrorists or convicted felon or something like that. So this is what frustrates them. They can't stop the control, and they can't control where these firearms are going. Okay, so that's why they're going to have this law. Now, when this guy brought this thing up, he brought up the fact that it was an FFL dealer. They did get audited, they had mistakes in their paperwork, and they kind of lost track of stuff. So they did, break the law. more or less. Their paperwork wasn't correct. They couldn't account for, certain firearms, which when you're a dealer, that's not a good thing. And they got nailed with this new thing. It was a $150,000 fine and 7 years in prison. Supposedly, they're supposed to do this to us when they pass this new definition of a gun dealer, that if you keep records of the firearms you own, which you should, in case they're stolen, okay, if you have a business card and you go around selling guns and that, they're going to label you as a dealer and you're going to get caught and burned. And how are they going to find you doing it? That's the tough part. See, that's why they do this. If you buy like 5 or 6 guns and then they come back, they can say you're marking them up and selling them. But on the other hand, it is not illegal for me to sell my personal property, be it a gun collection, coin collection, whatever, and like the guy stated in a video, he has a friend that he sees a new handgun that comes out. He buys the gun or whatever, or a rifle, and shoots it and fools with it a little bit and decides, it's okay, I tried it out. And he wants another gun, so he sells that gun to get the money to purchase another gun. Again, there's nothing illegal about it, okay? So, and again, like today, there was 2 pretty violent carjackings the other day in the city. And I'm not talking about the inner city. It was in a pretty respectable neighborhood at a gas station. Guy pulls up to get gas. Car pulls up with 5 people in it. They all jump out, start beating on him, put a gun to his head, steal his vehicle. Hour and a half later, on the opposite side of town, same thing happens. Okay. Now, with this going, and this is in broad daylight. This ain't at night. One was at 8 o'clock in the morning, and an hour, so it's 10:30 in the morning. They're doing this. So now everybody's on edge. My wife's terrified. Now I'm thinking, all right, make sure I get the keys out of the damn car when I pump gas and maybe slide my pistol in my pants pocket while I'm out there. Okay? So it's getting strange and it's getting tough. And how this is all going to work with this eliminating the private sales, like I said, my state just in March made a law that loosened up the requirements of private sales. Now there's going to be a conflict. The only thing is, state law ain't going to burn me. The ATF is a federal agency and their jurisdiction is throughout the whole United States. Now there's going to be a giant conflict coming up, and I mean, they eliminated all the BS, all them other change of definitions or whatever it was. That's all been eliminated. But now we're facing a new thing, and it's pretty wild that the state has loosened up the requirements while they're going to come down and tighten them up on a federal level. So this is going to be, this upcoming year, like I've told you, it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, but stay abreast of the local laws and keep an eye on what's happening. Don't get caught because you didn't know. That's going to be the thing. And be careful in your dealings and who you deal with. Okay, whenever it comes to buying and selling any firearms. All right, legal or, legally or whatever. Just be a little bit more attentive. Alright guys, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned.